Welcome to Gilroy Show, your destination for insightful conversation with industry leaders, entrepreneurs, HR professionals, and change makers. We bring practical ideas to you for inspiring stories and expert insights to help you grow in your career, business, and leadership journey. I'm your host, Gilroy Michael. So let's welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Arnaab Booral, a passionate executive coach, motivational speaker, and training consultant who has impacted the lives of over 500,000 people through his transformative work. Arnaab specializes in helping freshers, mid career professionals, and leaders break unhelpful patterns, rebuild confidence, and achieve powerful breakthroughs in their careers, behaviors, and leadership journeys. Whether it's guiding leaders to embrace doubt with empathy, craft compelling personal narratives, or connect ancient wisdom to modern workplace challenges, Adnab brings both depth and practicality in every conversation. He's also a regular writer on LinkedIn where he shares quick, insightful tips and tricks for freshers, interviews, and leadership realities. A true believer in experimental and activity based learning, Arnab is known for his energetic zero PPT style of facilitation that leaves audience inspired and equipped with actionable insights. So let's all welcome Arnab Booral for our show today. This is our first podcast video on the Gilroy Show, and we are here to discuss on AI won't replace you, poor soft skills will. So the skills every professional needs in 2026. So what do you think, Arnab?
Well, thank you very much, Gilroy, for the warm welcome and the introduction, of course, the floral introduction. To be very honest, we see artificial intelligence as an enabler, and that's precisely what it is. So, yes, what it might do is it would simplify our actions, it will simplify our approaches, but eating jobs, as long as you're not sharpening yourself, it just might. Otherwise, no, it won't. It's essentially you sharpen yourself in such a way. There are things that your artificial intelligence can do, and there are things that your artificial intelligence cannot. So essentially, your soft skills are something which are exclusively human. And that's what sets you apart in the artificial intelligence age, to be very honest. Back to you, Gilroy.
All right. When talking about soft skills, do you think soft skills can actually be learned?
Of course, of course. So there's a misconception on soft skills, Gilroy, that people think that soft skills are essentially, you know, the skills of speaking. Now, the problem is it is not limited to the skills of speaking. So essentially, soft skills are the more important soft skill than speaking skill is listening skill. And that's where people make a major mistake. So what happens, what I notice most of the times is that for freshers, they kind of hurry a lot when they try and answer a question. So, for example, when you just asked me a question, what I did was I essentially paused for a couple of seconds to kind of think about the question, what the question meant, and what you expected me to answer, right? And then I answered. Okay. So for a lot of these youngsters, what I notice is that pause to understand the question is terribly missing. And what they fear is that if I pause, I'm going to eat up too much time of my interviewer. Whereas the interviewer essentially is basically sitting there, giving you the time to eat and introduce yourself in such a way that it makes an impact. Exactly. And you're not using it. So essentially, that's something which is very, very essential. Do not hurry. The first thing that I always say is calm down, slow and steady. Listen, pause, and then answer. That's very essential.
Cool, cool, cool. That's amazing.
Back to you.
And by the way, Arnab, what made you to become a soft skill trainer? I do see that you train over 500,000 people, but what made you to become a soft skill trainer, though?
Well, to be very honest, when I started, okay, so I spent the first 11 years primarily in corporates. The last job was with Infosys Technologies, and I was a senior manager of marketing. I have an award of excellence from Narayan Murthy for excellence in marketing communications as well. But um, when I had to quit for personal reasons and move back to my hometown, where at that point of time Infosys was not present significantly.
Uh-huh.
So when I moved back to Kolkata, it was the first instance was there was somebody who approached me and said, Arnab, you are great at this. You're a great speaker on stage. We know. Can you help youngsters become good speakers like you? I said, well, I would like to do that. I mean, what the hell? It was more like that. When I started, I figured that this excited me. That's one. Then what happened was eventually I kind of, when I started doing corporates, in fact, a little advanced corporate. So what I'm talking about is like sessions for VPs, sessions for senior managers, director level people. That's where I figured that that's where the change, a little more of my orientation towards training, literally people skilling, sharpening their edges became more impactful, and my approaches to training also changed as I stepped ahead. So that's how I got into training really.
And when was that basically? Which year was it?
This was 2011.
So
2011.
2011, you took your full time into training professionals or freshers to become more professional, and also
Absolutely.
guiding them into their careers as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It kind of I found there was an there was an edge of, like, a sharpened edge of extreme satisfaction that I still do get from watching people change, from seeing people become their true potential or bring out their true potential compared to what they used to be when they first walked into my session. So that kind of satisfaction is absolutely unmatched, to be very honest.
Cool, 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 cool. And by the way, you've been training for so many years. What do you think is most valuable
Mhm.
in 2026 in soft skills? When we talk about soft skills, basically, because soft skills obviously is an ocean, yeah? So soft skills has multiple
Right.
layers, multiple uh, different terms that we can actually start using on soft skills as well. And people, they call themselves as soft skill trainers, especially the current generation trainers, which most of us, we already know how trainers are built these days. So according to you, what do you think
Right.
is most valuable in 2026? That is when you talk about soft skill training.
So your question essentially, you're trying to mean what soft skill is essential for corporate people entering corporates? That's what you mean?
Not exactly entering into the corporate world, but see, each year, soft skills is a major part of, yeah, not just only the corporate world, but also for the students' life in college as well, right? So last year, they were looking into emotional intelligence. They're looking more into stress management and everything else. This year, they're looking at leadership qualities. They're looking at workplace culture, the
Okay,
employability
that's great.
skills,
That's great.
right?
If you're
So
talking about all of these, I'll tell you a very simple thing that these every year there are a few of these options that come up: emotional intelligence, leadership, orientation, etc., etc. But one thing which remains steady and is probably the most under uh, underspoken about soft skill is essentially, I think I mentioned already earlier, is listening skill. The problem that happens most of the times is whether you're on stage, off stage, in front of a camera, in front of an audience, in front of an interviewer, in front of an interviewee, wherever you are, the first thing, even in front of your wife or girlfriend for that matter, the first thing that we often miss is listening skill. Now, essentially, what I see a lot happening, and this is something very significant if you notice, is that when you are speaking to me, human minds are very weird, right? So human minds does not believe in stopping. It keeps running all the time.
Obviously.
So the moment you start asking me a question, before you finish a question, my mind has already started formulating, okay, so these are the things I'm going to say in the answer. Now, the essential problem is that when my mind is thinking of the answer, there are parts of your question that I'm already missing out on.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
So, essentially, my approach to the answer is what I have assumed the question to be, and not based on the question that the question actually was. So the most
Basically,
important thing
I'm so
is
sorry to cut you there.
to
So I'm sorry, Arnaab. So basically,
no,
people
no,
generally listen to respond, but not listen to understand and then respond.
absolutely, absolutely, precisely.
So
And that's pretty much, I would say, last year was also important, this year also is important, and it will be important throughout your life.
yeah,
Listen to understand and then respond, please. Very, very important.
exactly.
The last tweak of the question could change the approach to the question.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. And so basically,
Yeah,
that
so
is
back to
also
you.
so basically that's the major problem in communication as a professional as well, right? So most of the business communication that happens in corporates, where they hardly listen to the entire information and they assume things and they push it across to their teams or to their
Absolutely.
groups, and that's when the entire screw up happens. So they
So,
have delay in their
so,
projects and
so
everything
here
else.
is what happens. This is where a major problem happens. So let's say if you are the senior manager, I'm the team leader, and I have a team under me. So you have said something, and you've suggested a change. I have not questioned, right? And you have not even you have not pushed me to question, have you understood? You have not asked me that. So what I did was, as I assumed my understanding was correct, and I put that understanding of me into the team. Now the team members also, I did not have the habit of asking, did you understand my question, or did you understand my suggestion? So the team members also, what they understood from what I said, they start implementing exactly that. You get my point? So from of there's a change from what was expected by the manager.
Hmm.
That changed when the team leader misunderstood, and he gave something to the teams, and the team misunderstood. So
Exactly.
there's a two-step misunderstanding that's happening. So the essential thing is not just listening, but to verify whether my understanding is the same as yours
Obviously.
before. So if you notice this, there was one question, I think a couple of questions back, where I asked you what what you wanted to know, right? I was asking you if
Exactly.
what I understood your question correctly.
Yeah.
And that's very important. That is very, very important. So your understanding of the directive from the senior needs to be very clear. Unless that's clear, I think what you're giving back is going to be messed up. Seriously messed up.
Exactly. So what do you think will be a daily habit to improve communication?
The first thing is pausing before you respond.
Pausing and
Pause
understanding.
before you
All right.
respond.
Okay.
Yes. So essentially, I wouldn't say listening, because the moment I say listen, people say I'm only listening. So what I say is pause. So you listen and pause. So that pause factor will essentially make you think of the answer before you answer. So pause before you answer.
And
Does that make sense now?
it does make sense. And when talking about listening, I remembered when I was giving training lectures for college students back in Chennai. I had students ask me like, "So, what's the difference between listening and hearing?"
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what
So
would you say
somebody
about
knocks
that?
my door, I hear it. So essentially, somebody knocks the door, I hear the noise. But So I'm using the knocking of door especially because there are two parts to it that is required. So one, the first thing that happens is I hear the noise of a knock, right? Now, when I see something fall, I also hear a knock. But do I respond? No, I just say, okay, something has fallen. But when somebody knocks the door, I hear the knock, but I ask, who is it? That is listening. You respond to what you listen to. That's listening.
Perfect example, man. Seriously,
Does
the
that make
perfect
sense?
example. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But you know, so there are people who generally say like, I'm hearing the music, I'm listening to music,
Right.
right? So you can
Right.
listen to music,
You never hear music
you
because
can listen to music, you can't hear music,
you
right?
always listen to music.
Exactly.
Even if the music does not have lyrics to it,
Yeah.
even if the music does not have lyrics to it, you are still listening, understanding, and feeling the music. So that essentially requires understanding of the ambience of the music. That's very important. So you never hear the music, you always listen to the music. What do you listen to? Let's be very clear. You listen to a person honk his,
Car horn.
his horn, his car horn. That's what you listen to. You listen to a glass fall. You listen to uh, uh, maybe, I don't know, two chairs crash into each other while you move, right?
Yeah.
So those are things you hear. You don't listen to them. Does do any of these have meanings? No. They are essentially sounds produced by anything, collision, by falling, by whatever. So those are things you hear. What you listen to is something which you make sense of, you analyze, you respond. That's important.
Perfect, perfect, wonderful. So, by the way, what do you think would be an advice that you would actually give for fresh graduates or moving into the corporate world?
Okay. So you mean the first thing I would advise is, of course, like we were discussing, listen well when you walk into corporates, whether at the interview or beyond it. And most importantly, keep your eyes and ears open because when you might know things, but there are a lot of things you might not know. And so if even if the interviewer is asking you a question, for example, uh, something that you do not know, right, and you can't answer, most students end up saying either faking an answer or saying I don't know, and both of these answers are, faking an answer is the worst thing that you can do. However, when you do say, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer, that answer is very limited. What you could have done, the student could have done, is he or she could have shown his or her potential going forward. And this is how. So if I was asked this question where I do not have an answer, I would have said, I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to this question. But, once I start working with your team, I'm sure there are people on the team who are excellent at this. And me, being the kind of person I am, I would actually observe the way they do it and learn rather quick. So you see, what all did I do? One, I was honest.
Yeah.
Two, I told him that I do not know the answer.
Yeah.
Three, I told him an example of I am working in your team. So I gave him the feel of how it feels to have me on the team. Four, I told him that I would listen and observe from the people around me and learn from them. So that's an excellent add-on that I'm using. And then I'm saying that I would actually implement that after I learn from them. So you don't have to you as the leader, don't have to spend time and money on me to learn something new. So all of these 5 points are covered in one answer.
Exactly.
That's how I would approach answers to these questions.
Wonderful, wonderful. And by the way, Arnab, I did see your previous interview that you had a couple of days back, and there's one thing that actually struck me, and I actually wanted to ask you a question based on that. You did mention something on the interview where you have the student counselors advising students to take up a CSE education part of it, where the student has no idea about it, but he said like later on he can even change to a different department.
Right.
But still the student is forced to complete his 4 years of engineering over there, and he has no idea about what he's studying. He's spending his parents' money for no reason because he has no interest in it, but he is forced to go into it. Right?
Correct.
So likewise, what do you think is one career mistake that you see repeatedly?
This is one mistake that I see happening at the very beginning of careers because you know there's a stark gap between uh, a student's dream. So there are three parts of this. One is the parent's dream, the student's dream, and the institution's interest. So the institution essentially fills up certain streams very quickly, and then they need to fill up the seats for the other streams as well to make money. So what they do is you might have interest in a particular stream, and I would probably try and say, oh, you take up this other stream, and you know what, this is the most upcoming thing that is happening, etc. And you go into something like, let's say, I'm just saying for an example, you go into machine learning, great. But what you essentially had interest in was more, let's say, ECE. I'm just taking examples, rough examples. Yes, machine learning will be uh, a great addition to electronics as you go forward. But if your interest is in hardware, you are going into the wrong space. You're just going to spend 4 years and then pull out your hair. Well, I have none, so I cannot pull out any. But those students, but those students are going to pull out hair, saying that this is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be active, on hands-on building the product rather than designing the activities of the product on software. So the interest gap remains, and that is not just for the 4 years. Please understand, Gilroy, that this pain for the student will stay for the rest of his life. That's what worries me.
All right, all right.
I feel very awkward that the careers of students are being played with this way. Okay, 3 years on this.
Okay. So now let's come up to the part where we actually started about AI. Do you think how much do you think that AI has changed in the soft skills era?
Well, AI is doing its job. We are using AI to do our jobs as necessary. But to be very honest, AI has probably increased the necessity of using your communication skills, to be very precise, because that understanding of what you are doing needs to be so good that you should be able to answer any questions, any doubts, any tweaks and turns around it without being crossed about it, right? So that's something which I think has come up very strongly with the advent of AI, that becomes so powerful in your space that AI cannot overshoot you. That's the simple game. Know your stuff so well. So I if I'm passionate, so let's put it this way. I'm deeply passionate about training. So I go all out, trying all types of measures. So let's say, for example, I tried doing trainings with PPTs. Then I stopped using PPTs and started doing trainings without these, and I found that connects better. I found that kind of helps them learn easier. So I moved that way. So similarly, people who are working on AI should also look at those kind of changes to understand and feel where it makes more impact, and accordingly use their soft skills, those understandings of the concept of the surroundings to implement what they are going to do, to add on to their AI bots or whatever. Like, what commands are you giving your chat bot? So let's say you are designing an image on AI, right? The image that you design, the first time your image will be absolutely messy. The second time, it'll probably look a little like you. Third time, as you kind of start adding more commands to it, more lines to the command, so that it kind of specifies that this is how I want my image to come out, right?
Yeah.
So that's precisely how your communication also improves. How you want to express something eventually improves step by step by step. It doesn't become like that. It gradually improves. So a lot of people even ask me, Arnaab, you are a great speaker on stage. In fact, a student was asking me this yesterday. How do I move from here to there? I said, you are scared of speaking on stage today. Don't expect to become like me in a day. Now, the first thing is try doing it step by step. The first thing is get onto the stage as many times as you can and talk to people. So let's say, come now. So this guy came up. I said, kind of way, scream out your name and say, I am the best. So he did that, and his voice sounded like somebody has beaten him up.
Okay.
Right? Whereas so I told him, I said, so this is what you sound like. See, your students, your friends are also not saying, oh, wow. Why? Because your voice didn't sound as powerful. So when you say that, proud of myself, I'm the best, you should sound like the best. Where's that feel in your voice? Bring that feel. So these are the tips which you give to a person, and eventually this guy, the next time he will do it, his voice became better. Right? The next time he did it, his voice was a little more powerful. He tried putting in more throat into the voice. So that's what I try saying, that even in the AI age, that's what you need to do. Tell yourself that this is how I need to improve myself. These are places where I'm going wrong. Get somebody like an Arnaab, get somebody like a Gilroy to help you identify those spots and tell you the projection angles, that this is the angle you have to take. This is the thing you have to change. And these are the steps towards it. And start implementing them one per day. That's how you will get better.
Exactly.
Back to you, Gilroy.
All right. So actually, I've got a lot of information from you today. And looking at your previous interview as well, I've learned some more from your interviews earlier that you had a couple of days back, and that's one way of me actually trying to get in touch with people like you, and trying to understand more into the corporate world, or what's much better to inspire other people with, right? So I use examples of you guys, and I talk to others, and I make them to even follow you on either LinkedIn or on Instagram, or no matter where it is, and that's how we have a lot of followers behind us. Maybe you would have spoken about me to other people as well. Likewise, this is how we grow as trainers or as professionals in the market. So AI is getting implemented at the moment, but it's going to take a lot of years for it to get totally implemented into people's lives. But till then, soft skills is the one which is actually going to be helping them.
It will never get. AI will never get 100% implemented into people's lives. It will be there. See, okay, so let's put it this way. I mean, when computers came up, not many of the first generation, the current generation, Gen Zs would know this, but we do. When computers came up, we feared that computers are going to take away jobs. Is it taking away jobs?
No.
Have you lost your job? Have I lost my job? No. In fact, we've moved beyond losing jobs. We have given up jobs to do better stuff.
Exactly.
That's a different story. But to be very honest, it never took away our jobs. Similarly, artificial intelligence is going to be the same. It will sharpen your edge. It will make your work better. It is not going to take away jobs. You have to make sure that you are sharp enough in your stuff, that there's an edge, that this is Arnaab edge, this is Gilroy edge, this is whoever edge. So create that edge that AI cannot cross into. That's what I would always say. Create that edge about yourself.
Definitely.
You should be able to tell AI that this is what I want. Pardon me? Sorry, go on.
I thought this is exactly what we all require at the moment, right? We need to have we need to be more smarter than what AI is. Basically, we are inputting the data that we need for AI to improve.
Correct.
So
correct.
So honestly, I
so,
really yeah. Go ahead.
You sharpen that edge to make sure that AI does not overcome you. As simple as that.
Cool. Anyway, Arnaab, it was a pleasure having a lovely round of interview with you today. I guess we are almost 40 minutes up on Zoom, and hopefully we'll try to connect on another day for another session and get more insights from you as well. Yeah?
I'm sure we will.
I'm so happy to have
Thank you so much, Gilroy.
Thank you too. Thank you
It's
for
my
taking the
pleasure.
time out with us.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.